Cnidarians is the phylum of organisms that contains corals, anemones, hydroids, and jellyfish. Cnidarians live primarily in marine environments, and some of them live in fresh water. They tend to be radially symmetric, meaning that their body structures extend outward from the center. They are also diploblastic, which means they have two embryonic layers separated by a mesoglia. Generally, these multicellular organisms have an internal cavity and a mouth. Also, a simple net-like nervous system. Cnidarians come in two basic body forms, polyps and medusa. Polyps are tube-shaped and sessile with a ring of tentacles around the mouth. Medusas, on the other hand, are umbrella or bell-shaped and can move freely with the currents. Don't be fooled by their apparent placid nature. Most Cnidarians are carnivores, while the others are filter feeders. For instance, jellyfish are predators that attack their prey using stinging cells called nematocysts. It is a capsule containing a coiled thread that can be shot outwards to catch prey or repel predators. The modified flagellum acts as a sensory trigger, rapidly ejecting the nematocyst thread when it is touched. On the seafloor, sedentary colonies of polyps create a calcium carbonate skeleton to provide a rigid structure. Coral reefs supports the huge diversity of creatures by providing shelters for reef fish and invertebrates, and also protecting coastlines from the damaging effects of waves and tropical storms. They are also crucial in the carbon cycle as a carbon sink. One of the mutualistic relationships is between crabs and sea anemones. The crabs provide them a place to live and transport, which gives them better chances to find food, while the sea anemones protect their host from predators by using their stinging nematocysts. Similarly, reef fish rely on symbiosis with cnidarians. For instance, clownfish and anemones. These clownfish have developed an immunity towards the stings by secreting a thin layer of mucus over their bodies. Without it, the clownfish would be stung to death and consumed by the anemone. Other fish have a similar association with larger medusae. Those that are immune can take shelter among the jellyfish's tentacles. In return, they bait the trap for other fish.
Class Hydrozoa. Members of class Hydrozoa live in freshwater ponds and streams. The examples for this class are Hydra and Obelia. Hydra exists only in the polyp form. It reproduces by asexual or budding in favorable environment conditions. However, if there is deteriorate environment condition, Hydra will reproduce by sexual reproduction. Next is Obelia. Obelia possess a life cycle for both polyp and medusa. They have two types of colony, feeding polyps or gastrozoids and reproductive polyps, gonozoids.
Class Scyphozoa. These species are found in marine habitat types. They live most of their life cycle as free-swimming, solitary carnivores. The life cycle of these animals can be described as polymorphic because they exhibit both a medusal and polyploid body plan at some point. Medusa is the main stage in their life cycle, and they have either a much reduced polyp stage or no polyp stage at all. For example, let's look at Aurelia, a type of jellyfish under the class of Scyphozoa. The reproduction begins when the male releases sperm into the water. Then, the sperm will swim to the female to reach the eggs. Once fertilized, the zygotes emerge onto the oral arms to develop and become a larva. The resulting polyp, also known as Scyphostoma, begins to bud asexually. Thus, strobulation occurs. After After that, the strobila will form a ephira. Once the ephira matured, it will release the free-swimming medusa, which go on to develop into sexually mature adults. However, some other Scyphozoans live solely as polyps or as medusa, and do not alternate between these two phases the way that Aurelia does. These are the examples of organisms under this class.
Class Anthozoa. The basic unit of Anthozoans is the polyp. Unlike other members of this phylum, Anthozoans do not have a medusa stage in their development. Instead, they release sperm and eggs into the water. Sea anemones are mostly solitary, but the majority of corals are colonial, being formed by the budding of new polyps from an original founding individual. As adults, anemones are typically sessile. Anthozoans are exclusively marine, species like reef builders that supplement their energy needs by making use of photosynthetic single-celled algae live in shallow water. Other species that have no need for well-lit areas typically live in deep water locations. Anthozoans are carnivores, catching prey with their tentacles. The two main subclasses of Anthozoa are the Hexacoralia, members of which have 6-fold symmetry, and the Octocoralia, which have 8-fold symmetry and includes the soft corals and gorgonians. The smallest subclass, Coelenterata, consists of the tube-dwelling anemones. The examples of Anthozoans are Actinia and Madrepora.
To conclude, these are the summaries for the three classes of Cnidarians.
Thank you for watching. Bye bye.